So part of the reason I wrote the book was to show more of like a fun side and a business side of what it was all about and what it was really all about. But it's not meant to be dishing out the dirt. These characters like Larry Flint and Hugh Hefner and Guccione and you know, some of the mobsters that I worked with. It's about the funny situations and the behind the scenes of what was really going on. We put naked pictures on the web, and I mean, guys around the world were just losing their minds. And then of course at the same time, I was trying to be a Hollywood actress, so that was really my main goal. And I was doing a bunch of B movies. Like Hollywood, in the casting couch, was way, way worse than anything in the adult business. Nobody in the adult business would ever hit on me. That was always straight business. But Hollywood, of course, was always like, oh yeah, well if you want to sleep with me, you'll get the role in the movie. But you know, there was this kind of general era where guys would just try it because they could. I never felt like really, really threatened or had a real serious situation like some of the girls might have. But definitely it was prevalent in Hollywood. I was a little bit nervous to reveal this past because I was afraid, not that I didn't like this business, not that I thought I'd done anything bad or I felt guilty, but I thought people would judge me. I thought people would think, oh well, then she's not a spiritual leader. She doesn't know what she's talking about, or she's a fraud in some way. And so I was afraid that if I shared my past and told people what I did, that they wouldn't like me. And then I realized, well, that's what I'm teaching people. To, you know, stop being worried about these things that you think about yourself that you don't like or you're afraid to share. Not that we have to share everything about ourselves to everyone, that's not appropriate either, but that we have to stop burying and hiding and feeling guilty about things and start looking at our whole selves and loving ourselves. And when we can bring that all into our life, when we can have a happy, fulfilled life, can be financially abundant and successful and feel good about ourselves and feel sexy about ourselves, but yet still be spiritual and have that side of us. I'd been a spiritual teacher for about 10 years, but before that I had an adult business, which I never really told anybody about. So I had this business that I'd gotten into. I mean, I didn't purposely plan to have this business, but I had this little sideline photography business. And when the internet hit, I had over 1 million images. And my company just exploded. And, you know, of course the money was insane. It was like the gold rush. And I had this fantastic business. It wasn't the porn business. It wasn't like I felt like I was doing anything wrong, but I had this sudden spiritual awakening, and I decided one day, I just want to do something more with my life. I want to do something more meaningful. And so I actually took this library that was worth millions of dollars, and I packed it up, and I said, I was married at the time, I said to my husband, I want to go off and do this spiritual work, because he thought I'd lost my mind, which I probably had. And I started traveling, and I started meeting these spiritual leaders, and people asked me to speak, and I started doing workshops. And I never told anybody what I'd done in my past. It was just like, that I've done that. And I never went back and told anybody. And I started on this spiritual path. After a while, I started to see that we're not one or the other. We're not successful business person or spiritual person. In fact, we can bring spirituality into our business life, and that we can be ambitious. And that what we tend to do is hide parts of ourselves that we don't like, rather than accepting all parts of ourselves. And so I started teaching people about accepting everything about themselves, things that they'd hidden, things they didn't like about themselves, and saying, okay, what did I learn from this? And having them accept everything about themselves, the past, the things that they didn't like, as well as things that they do like, and to learn from their past experiences. And that was a big way of releasing trauma. And so I decided, as part of that, I was going to come out of my shell, and I was going to share my entire history about this adult business I had. Not that it was some horrible thing I felt guilty about, it was actually kind of a fun business, but really to show people to love all sides of themselves, and that's what I'm doing. I'm now embracing that you can be successful and have a business and be ambitious. And you can be spiritual, and you can bring meditation and value into your life, and you can have the whole thing. So finding your sexiness. It might not be what you think right away, because sexiness is not all about how you look. It's more about how you project yourself, which is actually more related to what's inside you and what's going on. Sexiness is about having the confidence that you love yourself, that you accept all things about yourself. Because we all have things that we don't like about ourselves. We all have things that we hide and we don't tell everybody about. And sometimes we have some really kind of deep things, guilt or shame, that we hold on to. And actually, we create in our mind that that's some huge deal, when probably to the outside world it's really not that big of a deal. And when you accept your whole self, then you're starting to live a much vibrant, happy life. And that's what charisma is all about. That's what being sexy is all about. It's about loving your whole self and doing everything that you do in life 100%. So finding what you're passionate about, what you love in life, and really, you know, put your whole into everything that you do, your work, your family life, and to love everything you do and love all parts of you. And when you get to that point, you just are sexy. It just shines because it is just you. And people look at you and they say, wow, that person has a lot of charisma, they have a lot of charm, but it's you just in your life and involved, and the more passionate you are in your life, the more people are going to look at you and say, wow, I admire that.